Okay, so Megan, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through how you can use CAD in the early up concept development phase. So I know that a lot of professors, teachers, and ID people say do not use CAD until you've got your concept 100% flushed out, you know, and then you go into CAD. And I have a different balance as well as many designers that you don't take one idea and then go straight to CAD and then work on that CAD and do 100% completion. That I would agree you don't want to do because it will lock you into that design. You know, you can't build CAD as fast as you could do a doodle. But now there's a different method that is much more efficient and can be helpful and also can help in a different areas. It allows you to potentially go faster, and I'll show you why you can go faster. It also can help you ensure that your proportions of your concept are accurate. If you have, it needs to be X high, and X high is because either an engineering hard point, a design hard point, packaging. There's a lot of times where dimensions are based off of the box that it goes in, and the box is based off of the size of the store shelf and how many units you can get. So there's a lot of different controlling factors. So, any questions on that before we dive in?
No.
Okay. So, let me pull up my brush palette. Nope, that's not the one I want. Brush library is the one I want. And if you haven't, you can see that I've got a bunch of different brush palettes.
Oh, are you sharing your
Oh,
screen?
my apologies. Let's do that now. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see right now.
Okay, so you can see I have a lot of different brush palettes. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you know, but you can download a whole bunch of palettes from Alias. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, so what you can do, and I'll just show you this quickly, you can go to Help,
Yeah.
and then you can go to, where is it?
Because I have a Mac, like a not Mac, like an iPad, so I don't think I have help button.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah,
Okay,
because I'm doing like a iPad, like a small iPad, so I'm not sure. Maybe I can do it like
yeah. So just for
without
note,
any Mac.
you go to Windows
Yeah.
and then Sketchbook Extras.
Okay.
And really it just helps when you have different textures that you want to do. Like um, if I'm doing some of my own personal artwork, I love this texture because it just gives me that wisp.
Yeah.
So just so you know, there's different ones. I personally use Hudson Rio. And if you Google him, he's got a lot of sketching tutorials. Really, really talented designer. So, okay. So, what I want to say is that, you know, when you first start off, and we're going to use the coffee maker example because that's what um, we're doing. Or you know what? Let's use the blow dryer. Would that be better for you since we're working on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're designing something, or for me, the very first way I start off is I don't go into a really tight, beautiful sketch and try to get all the lines perfect, because that can slow you down. You know. So for me, it's the quick thumbnail doodles. That I'm going to do. Oop. And I'm not even worried about proportions 100% at this point. I mean, I still have an idea of my proportions because we've kind of looked at that a little bit.
Yeah.
But just some quick, line doodles to help communicate the form. I don't even necessarily do any shading. I might drop some in. So let's just do a couple of these quick doodles to show what we could do. And all I'm doing is playing with, some just really, what could it be? And you can see, like, just some quick fun, sketches. I'm not worried about different layers and getting all the, things perfectly laid out, because I'm not looking to have a beautiful presentation page, where I spend a whole lot of time getting that perfect and moving layers around. If you want, you can do that later. You can see that I am, in this, I'm trying to have somewhat of a dynamic page, just to help. And I'm trying not to spend too much time on each one, just a few seconds per them. I might toss in a little bit of color or a little bit of, cross hatching just so that you can read it a little bit. And these are the ones that are supposed to be quick and fun. And part of the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is, so if this is kind of thumbnail, quick, rough sketching, what we're going to go into is showing some quick, rough, quick, rough CAD model sketches. So even here, I love to use Rio's paintbrush. Let me just make sure it's the right one. There we go. And this is more just to, I don't need it personally because I know the form, but it can kind of help if you're showing it to other people who have to read it. And again, I'm not worried about getting that perfect sketch or drawing. And you could have done this with color or whatever. So, one of the things a lot of times that designers do, especially students, is they forget to learn how to do a sketch, because a lot of times what I do, if I'm the only designer working on it, I know exactly what I'm trying to improve here. So I forget to add notes. I forget to I don't forget. I don't think I need notes. Because,
Yeah, same.
yeah. So, but as a professional, when you're doing this, you never know when you need to toss it up on the board. Or a senior designer comes along and wants a point of view, or say, they want to give feedback. Or even, your boss comes in and says, hey, I need all your sketches. I've got a review that we want to do. So you always want to kind of tie that in a little bit, or get used to it, so that you can let them know. So I mean, you can, even if it's a, whoop, that's not the one I want. So sometimes, you need a different pen for different things. If I'm going to make a note, I don't think I'm in black. I am. So this is where you can see I'm starting to mess too much here, which, there we go. So just a quick note like that. That helps other people know what your form is about. Because if not, they have to guess.
Yeah.
Or something like this. It's like, well, why do we have a big lump there? Take that away. So they had to interpret your concept differently. So here, we're going to say we've got some, base forms done. And we're going to have someone come in, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? I like, whoops. I like this one, and I like this one. So what happens is, let's say the very first one you want to do is this, and we want to detail it out a little bit further. So what we can do is, we're going to do a quick rough sketch CAD. And I'll explain why I find this to be considerably more efficient. So what we're going to do is we'll just open up SolidWorks. Let me flip my screen back up. That's the problem of working on tablets. You end up lifting your tablet up and down and reorganizing. So again, and I'll walk through this as we do with always when we do SolidWorks. I'm going to turn on my planes, just so I know where things are. And again, I don't need to be perfect with this, but if you have a blow dryer, there are going to be given certain dimensions, so we want to keep those. So the opening of the fan is going to be one thing. The length of the handle from an ergonomic standpoint is going to be another. So what I'm going to do is just quickly sketch out something that I think is going to work. And when I say you don't necessarily need to have the dimensions perfect, that doesn't mean that, hey, you model it up and you don't have it in the right scale or proportions. Because right now, what I'm doing here is I want to make sure that my proportions are going to be right. I don't know what just happened there. So let's go back to editing our sketch. So we can just pull up a few dimensions. And now here's something that you can see. If you notice down in the bottom left, down here, you can drag that dimension versus adding a dimension. So all we're going to do is we're going to say it's going to be 1.25. Then we're going to grab this dimension. We're going to say it's 1.5. And we're going to say that's our handle shape. We'll do a quick extrude. We're going to say it's 6 inches. And I don't know what exactly these dimensions are, so I'm just going to kind of fluff it. So then next we can do just a quick sketch, and let's say we're going to do a profile sketch. So we'll dump in our center line. Oops, let's dump that in. And remember what I spoke about, you know, sometimes using a spline is better, because even though it's a straight line, I can always go back and adjust it, but it's easier just to have that straight line, and if I want to go and give it curvature, I can do that. So we're just going really, really quick. Okay, so we'll do a quick revolve. And you can see it doesn't necessarily intersect quite yet. Give me 1 second, I just have to let my dog in the room.
Okay.
Okay, let me just pause here for a second so I can go do that. I have 2 dogs, one very large puppy, which weighs 80 pounds, and then the one that's the most obnoxious is our 7-pound dog. So those are the joys of working from home, because it can be somewhat inefficient to have that workflow, but that's fine. Okay, so let's get back in here. So we did our sketch. We noticed that it didn't quite intersect the way we want it. So we'll hit our revolve. There, it gives it to us. And again, I'm just looking for something quick and rough. So very, very geometric. So, but we have our dimension. We know for whatever point or intention, this is the right package size. So you could do a screen grab and send this out, and that's not a problem. Sometimes so it's a more dynamic presentation if people look at it, because sometimes we want to, this is the whole point of when you hear designers say, well, you've got to be good at sketches. Good sketches don't mean good design. Good sketches help from a psychological standpoint to influence the audience, to get them more excited about it. So, like I say, what I like to do sometimes, you know, we've got KeyShot installed, so we can just open that up, and then we go very quick. We don't even add textures, but maybe we do a quick few screen grabs. And I think this is really, really too big in proportion. So again, the nice thing about this, we can go back, revolve. We're going to make this a little bit smaller. And now, this is not necessarily, don't do as I'm showing, because, and the reason I'm saying that is because I can sometimes get a little bit anal. So what we can then do with KeyShot, once you have that installed, so the first one opened KeyShot, the second icon updates KeyShot. So the nice thing is whatever changes we make in here automatically translate into KeyShot. So you're not saving the file and bringing it back in. So what I'll do is I've got my proportions, and maybe I'll just do a few quick screen grabs. So in KeyShot versus rendering, in the bottom right hand corner, you can hit screenshot and it saves it. It saves it to Keyshot Renderings Untitled.
Which one is for screenshot? Is the bottom one?
Yeah, right in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, okay, it's like here.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's right. I keep forgetting that your icons are written in Chinese for that. So, and then we can do another one here. And just to get a couple quick views. And I always, so really to get the quick views, you want something that shows the top, something that shows the bottom, something that shows, so no different than sketching. So we've got that. It's in Chevis Watkinson user. So then what we can do is we can go to we can go to Sketchbook. You can see that we've already got our page here, so we want to add a new layer. Hide everything. If you want to be, it helps to be very efficient with your folders to, we'll just call it thumbnails. How many times have you, when using Sketchbook, in order to find the layer that you're working on, you sit there and you come back and you go, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. And try to find that one layer. This helps to be a little bit more efficient when you do it this way. So we're just going to come in, and I should have had this set up beforehand, but we're going to go add image. And what we'll do is we'll come down, we'll go documents, Keyshot 10. I think it's going to be under nope. Oh, yep, here we go. So we'll just kind of add those in. And again, you don't need to be overly quick with it. Let's go, we'll just add another one. And then let's just do the side one. And again, I'm not overly worried about doing a beautiful page layout and spending a lot of time. I will try to just get something that looks decent. Now, a lot of times what I would do is I would make in Keyshot the background white. So if we go up here, we go environment, background, color, and make it white. The reason for that is when you do that, you're not getting these gray overlays, you know. So let me drop my screen down again here. And for me, what you've got is I've got my proportions right. So I know that my next sketch, the proportions are right. And a lot of times, in order to get proportions right, you need to redraw each thing. And kind of, I don't know if you've ever been shown this, but you draw your box. Oh, that's an ugly box. And you mark it off and you say, well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. 1, 2, 3. And then what you can do is draw within those inches so that there you're getting your proportions right. You're getting your thumbnails right. Well, I kind of bypass that step. And I go straight into, here's my proportions. I know they're right. And what I'll do then is I'll come in. This is where I start to tighten things up a little bit. So I also love the predictive stroke. So that helps. I didn't normally, you warm up before doing sketching. If you haven't, join Spencer Nugent's YouTube video and also his Discord video, because what that will do is he does a lot of different things, but he is a really big proponent of warm up your sketches. It just helps you to do your lines right. So when I don't do that, I use my predictive stroke. So I'm going to come in, and again, I'm not doing a tight rendered sketch. You know, I just want to take the essence that was my thumbnail and to start getting it to go a little bit and getting those proportions right, so that when I look at the proportions, you know, I know what they look like and I can start tightening them in. And then what I'm going to start doing is I'll continue to evolve it and say, okay, well, what's it going to look like with that bigger radius there? You know, maybe what I also want to do is to get that curve. So again, I'm not worried about getting that perfect line, but what I do know is that I've got that perfect proportion. Now, what I can also do is say, you know, finish off one sketch. Like, you want to finish off a concept. So before, where I was saying what you want to do is go quick, you know, and maybe it is, you know, a 10-second thumbnail. Well, at this point, you know, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit of a 1-minute kind of concept or sketch, but it still shouldn't be a very, you shouldn't be taking 5-10 minutes to do these, because again, we're just trying to get that essence of what we want. So, and at what point do you determine that, hey, this is good enough? So what can happen is, if you get going too far or going, you know, going too deep in it, then you're kind of locked up.
Yeah.
So again, what I can do here, get my predictive stroke on again. And I try to teach people to not use Control Z a whole lot in the early stages. And the reason for that is, again, this isn't supposed to be a 15-minute rendering, you know.
Yeah.
And what you can do now is you can start exploring what you want your design to be. You know, whether it be getting in your part lines, you know, detailing things out a little bit more. Oh, let's get that. See, and you can see that I'm looking to get that perfect line as well. You know, but you can see what's happening here is I'm still evolving the sketch. I'm still spending more time on sketching than I did on CAD. If that makes, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So before we keep going, any questions?
No.
Okay. So now, as I get this a little bit more the way I want it, you know, I can sit there and I can say, okay, that's how that's going to go. It's going to come up here. We're going to put, you know, here I can play with my radiuses even, you know, and kind of get that defined as well. Or I could come in and say, you know what, that's good enough of a radius. Let me just kind of select that. We'll go X, we'll go V. We'll dump that over here. Now let me take a look at what this is going to look like with extremely bigger radiuses. Kind of dump in my points. And let's look at, say, hey, we want to look at what this is going to look like with, you know, big radiuses on the bottom, big radiuses on the top. You know, radiuses that are, you know, have a point break. Oh, come on, let's find my eraser. So this is still quicker than you're doing in CAD. So this is where I'm saying, you know, yes, you don't sit there and start doing all these radiuses in CAD this soon, but what you can do and say, okay, this is, you know, this is my concept sketch. Let me just dump one more line in. Now, in here, I'm still going to draw in my contour lines that I want. I may still come in, I know what I want from a, you know, shadow line, so I might come in and still dump in, let me find the right brush. And just get some shadows in there, you know, so I know what it is that I want. Or sometimes what you're going to do is you may be handing it off to another designer. Oh, I don't know why that's doing that all of a sudden. I modified something. So you want them to be able to read your form. So that's why, you know, you don't usually go into CAD so quick. So now what we can say is, okay, hey, we like that form. That's good. And you can see it's very generic. We're not spending a lot of time designing on it. So now what we can do is we can jump back into CAD. And I'm just going to go and crop this one. Now remember, when you're bringing in a sketch into SolidWorks, it has to be a JPEG. It won't accept anything else. Oh, let me do one more thing. So if we recall, instead of trying to scale it up and down in SolidWorks, if you know the exact dimensions, so we know, we said the total height was, let's say, 18. Or sorry, not 18, so 8 or 9. So if I crop this way, whoop, we know when we bring the sketch in, it's 1:1. Now, if we know the width, and let's just say we're going to, so we're going to say 12, and the total length is 6. If we crop it for that exact size, and we'll save it, what we can now do, and I would do multiple of these, you know, like various transformations. What we can now do is open up SolidWorks, and we don't have to get rid of this. You know, we can just hide it. You know, what we can do is create a, you know, quick new folder. Called it underlay. Drop things in there. So it just helps keep it hidden. So then what we can do is we'll just kind of hide that. And then what we can do is we're going to go in, we're going to create a new sketch. And since we knew what those dimensions were, we're going to go up to Tools, Sketch Tools. And what we're going to do is go to Sketch Plane. And what we'll do is we'll go to our desktop, we'll bring in that sketch. Oh, and you know what I didn't do? I did not save it as a JPEG. So you see, by doing that, it automatically yelled at me and said, hey, no, we don't take this format. So let's go back. And sometimes when you're going too fast, you make too many mistakes. So, okay, go to SolidWorks now, Sketch, Tools, Sketching Tools, Sketch Picture. It'll take us there. We're going to find the one that we want, which we named it 11111. So now it comes in, and you can see over here on the left-hand side the width and the height, and it doesn't bring it in right. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll do a drawing, they'll do a line, they'll dimension it, the way they think it needs to be. They'll say, oops, sorry, there we go. They'll dimension it. Trying to go too fast here today.
Sorry, I just
So they'll dimension it, and we're going to say it's 14 high, you know, and then what they do. Sorry, did you have a question, Megan?
no, I don't have.
Okay. So then what they try to do is they try to come to the picture, and as best as they can, you know, scale it down and get the right size, and sometimes, you know, a whole lot of different things. But what we can do here is we know that we said it was 14 high. So all I need to do is go 14, and it automatically snaps to that dimension. Now, we also said it was going to be 6 inches wide. And let's say we want the center of this at our 0, 0, 0. What we can then do is move it -6 inches, and it positions it exactly where we want. Now, let's just say we want to move it to the center of this. We'll make it 3.5. So that, whoop, we got to go negative. And then again, we want to make sure that this is on the bottom plane, so we can just go 0. Now, we've got something to trace, and we know that when we brought this sketch in, it is going to be the right dimensions. So this is where, you know, if you've got your design fully done, then you can start modeling it. But this is what we refer to as doing sketch CAD. It's just going to be quick, but you're also using CAD in your design process to help make you get things done quickly. more efficient. And the big thing is your concept, you're not looking at it from a proportional standpoint. You're looking at it from proportions, but accurate dimensional proportions. So that's kind of what we mean by that, using that CAD up front. Not to limit your designs, not to force you to go slower, but as another tool that can be used up front. It doesn't have to be used downstream only for, I want to make a 3D print. So now I can go to CAD. So there's all different ways of doing that. So that's kind of what we covered in the last class. Any questions?
I think it's like a pretty efficient way to like draw with the dimension and then the position and yeah.
Yeah.
So just putting in SolidWorks and just I think even quicker than just like
yeah. Now for some of the students, when I asked what they thought the benefits and the disadvantages were, some of the students felt like it may lock them in too quickly. And that's something that you have to be very aware of. That's a mental mindset. Even when you don't do this, sometimes, you look at a sketch that you do and then you're not doing unique concepts. All you're doing is minor variations on that sketch. So you want to make sure you avoid that.
Yeah.
So I will, if you don't have any questions, we can stop here and I will get this uploaded today along with the other video.
So the other video will be uploaded today?
Yes. Yep. I
only have a question about the homework because I hear you say that choose 3